Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Welcome to Nights with Ping. And we're up late tonight, very up late. The most up late. Apparently, rubbish bag up late. I can hear rubbish bags in the background. Um, how is everyone? Good to see you all. I'm so sorry. If I knew Trish was going on at 9:30, I probably would have gone on at 11, but I had no idea. So that's my fault. Hey, Siana, PB&J, Nana Lana. You know, your three names just roll off the tongue. Siana, PB&J, Nana Lana. Woos, hey Woos, retired RN. Danny Mitchell. Danny Mitchell's here. Wow, we have a celebrity in the house. Hey, Danny Mitchell. Um, who else is here? Gambler was here. Diane was here earlier, but she fell asleep possibly. Hey, Diane. Beth B. It's good to see you all. Lux is here. I see a lot of people waiting. We have a few things to talk about tonight. The first thing I want to talk about is the 23&Me thing. We'll talk about that in a second. Before we get started, I know everyone's probably been watching the stuff going on in Israel and Palestine. Big sort of conflict yesterday in Israel, and a lot of people, hurt, hostages taken, murders and things. It's just, it's not something we talk about on this channel, but I at least wanted to acknowledge it briefly, just saying that I am keeping an eye on it, and I am watching like a lot of the world is, but it's not something we actually cover on this channel. Not like Steve Lookner, he does cover this. But yeah, there was some disturbing video yesterday. There was a girl on the back of a truck who looked like she had been murdered or killed somehow, and they were parading her body around. Very, very gruesome, very sad. And her mum actually put out a video this morning asking for more information about where her body is and where she's been taken, because the mum doesn't know. So very, very sad. I'll keep an eye on it. If anything more happens, we might cover it. But it's such a hard topic to cover. It goes back so many decades, so many years, so many different conflicts, and unless you have a great understanding of what's going on there, it's almost irresponsible to talk on it, if that makes sense, because I don't fully understand the who owns what, or who used to own what, and who's fighting over this, and who's in the right here and who's not in the right there. And it's very, very complex, and it's not something I fully understand myself. So that's why I probably wouldn't cover it unless there's a way we can do it. But PB&J says biblical times. It definitely feels like a lot of it dates back to that, and it felt like yesterday a lot of the actions were from that time. There was a lot of just barbaric actions by a lot of people, not just one side. There was others and people that were hurt. So Nana Lana says it's complex, but bombing is horrible. Yeah, I know the bombing is horrible, and there was a few videos of the Iron Dome going off and having the rockets go up and intercept. It's funny, it's beautiful, but it's not. It's a thing of war, but it was beautiful, like watching it, even though it would have been terrifying to be under it. Nana Lana says 2,200 rockets fired. Yeah, it's a lot. Hey, Marlene Clausen. All right, let's get ready. I wanted to at least let you know that I am keeping an eye on it. It's just not something we normally cover. We don't cover geopolitical conflicts on this channel. So let's talk about this. Let me get this set up, and then, because I think this is really important. We talk a lot about this type of stuff, DNA and genealogy. This is the other side of genealogy that we sort of have to look at. Hey guys, how are you? I'm here, I promise. So 23&Me is a service that most of people will know. You would have seen the ads on American television. Get your 23&Me kit sent out and find out about your ancestry. I think everyone's seen those advertisements. Well, yesterday it surfaced that 900,999, like just basically one short of a million, people's names have been leaked from the database of 23&Me. Now they're saying that the Majority of people on this list have a background as Ashkenazi Jews, and they are afraid that these might be used to target people of Jewish faith. And they're saying maybe it was, done by closet Nazis or something like that. And I'm not 100% sure, but this is a real problem. It's not like losing a credit card where you can go, oh, I'll just cancel my credit card and just get a new one. This is like your personal, genetic data. It's not something you can get back once it's leaked out. You know what I mean? It's gone. It's once it's out there, it's finished. And that's an issue, a real big issue. And I saw some other channels speaking about this. What are the issues with 23andMe and other places like it? And they were saying that one of the issues with this is, what if that data is leaked out and insurance companies use it against you to deny you health cover? Or what if it's used to deny health cover 2 generations down the line because they will use it as historical data saying, well, look, your great grandmother got sick and then your mother got sick with a similar illness, and now we suspect you'll probably get sick around 60 years old, you might get cancer, so we're not going to give you any health cover. And now this is probably pretty pertinent to people in the US, not Canada and a few other places because we have public health cover. But people in the US, it's something to be sort of concerned about, especially if this data is going to get leaked like this. And, there needs to be more protections in place to stop, this, what they're calling it is credential stuffing. And what credential stuffing is, it's basically known passwords and usernames found in other places, normally through hacking or leaked data sets, and they use it on other websites to try and gain access to other accounts. Now that's what 23andMe is saying happened. Other people are saying no, they can't have done 1 million accounts just based on passwords, and then with Ashkenazi Jewish background, they kind of been that specific in their accounts that they were able to find, passwords for. It's like almost impossible, but we'll see. We'll see when this more comes to light. But it's saying here, a database has been shared on the dark web forums and viewed by NBC News, has a list of 999,999 people who allegedly have used the service. It includes their first name, last name, 23andMe's evaluation of their ancestor, where their ancestors came from. The database is titled Ashkenazi DNA Data of Celebrities, though most of the people on it aren't famous. It appears to have been sorted to only include people with Ashkenazi heritage. NBC News was able to verify the data of 2 people in the 23andMe users in the breach as authentic. They're saying, someone said, crazy this could happen, this could be used by Nazis. The company is still investigating the incident, but is treating the leak as authentic. In an email statement, 23andMe spokesperson said the company believes it wasn't hacked per se. Instead, it believes that the hackers simply gained some users' passwords that had been hacked and leaked from other sites, then exploited the fact that 23andMe gives users vast access to each other's genetic information. I think what they're saying is those family trees and those linkages, those little linkages that you can get, click over here and see if that person might be related to you. They're saying they used a web kind of structure to get other information. I'm not sure. They might be right. It just seems like a lot of people, doesn't it? But maybe they are right. That's the way it happened. I'm not sure. I won't know until we get more information. But it's concerning. It's very concerning. I Hate Morning says, we chose carefully before Dad donated. We decided 23andMe. I didn't trust the CEO. They said we decided against 23andMe. I didn't trust the CEO of 23andMe. I saw how Google changed and didn't want Dad's DNA sold later if it changed. Yeah, that makes sense. That was a good evaluation. Yeah, the company believes. They believe in, I don't know what they believe in. Data, I guess. So let's see what you guys have to say. No, Marlene Clausen, I know that. I know that they can't deny you for a pre-existing condition, but the way it was explained to me yesterday was that there were ways around that. They can deny you on a bunch of other grounds, and there's ways to do that if with the data, where they could say you're a risk because of X, Y, and Z, dating back decades, that type of thing. Yeah, they'll say that you're too high a risk category. They can form things dating back, generations. Like maybe it doesn't affect you now, but it could affect like your grandchildren, like if your data leaked. So it is something to be concerned about. I don't know how concerned we should be, but just, you know, it's when you're dealing with genetic data, we have to be very careful. And when you see leaks like this, you're like, what's the next step? Do we get any actual DNA leaked? Do we get any of like the actual, samples leaked or sample data leaked? That would be scary. Uh, Jennifer Noble says, I've done family tree and ancestry to do mine, trying to find my birth father. It's pretty incredible. I've met online of 5 siblings, half siblings I never knew I had. That's really cool. See, it has some great sides to it, some really amazing parts of the technology, like the stuff that Othram does. They work and solve cold cases, and then you have people who find like long lost relatives and things. It's some amazing things it's done for people, right? But again, we don't want people to get their data stolen or something like that. I Hate Morning says the insurance rules can change. We have no idea what our government officials will do next. Yeah, I think that's what people were concerned about, is like the rules sometimes are so far behind what the technology is. You see this in other places with tech, where the rules are from like 2004, like that's the last time the legislation was updated, or 1989, when in 1989 this kind of stuff wasn't even a reality. So, I don't fully know, but this is concerning. Let's just hope that these people are somehow able to protect themselves and they're not going to get targeted by hateful individuals in our universe, because I think the Jewish population have enough to worry about rather than having their data leaked and, people coming after them for that. I think they've got a whole host of things that they would rather deal with, I think, with, just life. So it is sinister, Danny Mitchell. It is, especially that they targeted this specific type of Jewish people. Now, I've never heard of that wording before. I know what a Jewish person is. I didn't know what an Ashkenazi Jew was. And I had a look, and it says here, an Ashkenazi Jew is a descendant from Jews who lived in Central or Eastern Europe. The term was initially used to define a a distinct cultural group of Jews who settled in the 10th century in the Rhineland in Western Germany. And that's from the Harvard Medical School. So that's their explanation of it. I had never heard of it before either, but very interesting. I Hit Morning says family tree DNA doesn't keep your DNA forever. There is a toss date, making it less likely to be sold. Now that's very good. One of the interesting things that someone on another show was saying, they contacted 23&Me to have their data deleted. They didn't want it on the program anymore, like they didn't want it on their website anymore, and they were concerned about the security. So they wrote to them asking to have all their data pulled from the site. They got a reply saying yes, they could do that. They could do that from today. So from the day that the request was sent, they could do that. They could wipe anything from this point on, but anything dating from before the email was sent, they were unable to retract out of any studies, any way they had given their data into the different programs and things like that. They were unable to retract that. So that was an interesting point that I learned, that once they have given your data out, they cannot retract it. They can only stop doing it once you email them. So that was a bit of an eye opener too. I didn't know that. Beth B says, I am surprised that those people submitted their samples. It might have been something like their kids did it for a school project. I mean, that's happened in the the Golden State Killer case, they got found because it was like their granddaughter did it for a school project, and that's how they linked it to him. So could have been a school thing, or there's a lot of kids that are really interested in finding their family trees, and family trees often a thing you do in one of your early years of schooling. So now that they have technology available, of course they're going to do it. So yeah, so I hope we don't see any more of this. That'd be nice. I hope they are able to rectify whatever breach or whatever method was used to gain access, and what we call harden. They can harden their defenses against this type of usage of people's data. That would be really good. Protecting people and their genealogy data is probably pretty important. So hopefully we'll see that. Hopefully 23&Me will actually come out with a plan and say this is where it went wrong, this is how we can fix it, and this is how it can never happen again. So that would be really good. I'll let you guys know if I do actually see an update from them. There's supposed to be something this week, so hopefully we get a better update. I say hopefully a lot because I am hopeful. I'm hopeful of change. All right, let's actually talk about some real true crime. Well, it is kind of real true crime, but let's talk about this. I was so interested in this. I saw this pop up. Guys, give me a second, actually. All right, that's better. All right, let's talk about this. Happy Face Killer says he told Long Island serial killer suspect Rex Heuermann to admit his guilt. And then it says down here, I'll read this bit first. Hold on. I wanted to show you this bit down here. Where is it? Because I found this. This is so Rex Heuermann. You can just tell. He wrote to him saying, I recently got a letter from Rex Heuermann from the Long Island serial killer, and I told him the same thing, admit your guilt. And he wrote back to me and said, I'll take it under advisement. He adds, rolling his eyes and chuckling. Doesn't that sound exactly like Rex Heuermann, like the guy we've seen sort of in the media? I'll take that under advisement. It sounds exactly like something he would say. I found that quite interesting. So it says here, one serial killer serving life in prison for crimes has urged Long Island serial killer Rex Heuermann to tell the truth and plead guilty to the crimes he's accused of committing. In an interview with Florida officials last week, identified one of his victims, Keith Jesperson, 68-year-old inmate known as the Happy Face Killer, says he frequently tells other serial killers to come clean. Has he had sort of like a come to God moment, has he? Or is he just come to terms with that he's a killer? It's an interesting viewpoint that he has. He said that, he recently got a letter from Rex Heuermann from the Long Island serial killer, and he told him the same thing, admit your crimes. Yeah, he wrote back, and it says here, Jesperson was a long-haul trucker who got the monkeyer Happy Face Killer from the smiley faces he drew on letters sent to the media and investigators describing his crimes. Yep, and it says here, Oskaloosa County officials last week charged him with the murder of Susan L. Kelchenberg, 34, whose body was found in a wooded area off Interstate 10 near Holt, Florida, but not identified until recently. In September, Oskaloosa investigators traveled to Oregon State Penitentiary in Salem, where he is serving his time, to speak with him about her murder. Jesperson previously admitted in 1996 to killing a woman 2 years earlier, whose name he thought was Susan or Suzette. The September interview, he described meeting her at a rest stop where she told him she wanted to get a ride to Lake Tahoe. He told her he didn't know where he was going just yet, but that he'd be heading for Washington and that he could get her near Tahoe. The trucker told the investigators that at a stop at a Florida rest area, Kelsenberg started screaming. She just sat up and started screaming. He said, I was like, shut up. And the more I told her to shut up, the more she screamed. And I don't need that, he said, because I wasn't supposed to have people in my truck anyway. So I just killed her. It wasn't an easy thing to do, he said, after having killed so many people. Okay. Jesperson has claimed to have killed more than 180 people, but authorities have only confirmed 8. Wow, that guy's a weird dude. First he's like, it wasn't an easy thing to do, and then he's like, admit all your crimes. What a weird dude. I mean, he seems to be having almost like a double personality. Like, that's almost what it feels like. We've got a video here of this one. Let's play this about the lady. If we can do that.
Since you mentioned that about wanting to settle it, I'm with the state attorney's office, like I said, and I have a proffer agreement that says we won't seek the death penalty
That's
with
fine.
me today. So if you want to take a second and read it, it basically, I can't give you any legal advice because I represent the state, but
I understand that.
but I can tell you that participation in this proffer doesn't guarantee that we won't prosecute, but it does guarantee that the state of Florida will not file a notice of intent to seek death penalty in any proceeding.
Well, that's fine.
So
I'll sign it. I don't have to read it. Try to tell people to own it. Just admit you're caught. The only way you're caught, if you're arrested, means that the prosecutor has enough evidence to take you to court and prove you guilty. They wouldn't have arrested him if they didn't, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I've recently got a letter from Rex Hewerman from the Long Island serial killer, and I had told him the same thing, and he wrote me back so well, take it under advisement. So when I picked her up, she was headed to Lake Tahoe, Nevada.
Yeah, do you know, did she have ties there? Did she say anything about that?
All I know is that's what she said she was headed. And I told her, I said, I'm not going to Nevada. However, I don't even know where I'm headed. I've got to pick up a load, and I don't even know what load I was going to pick up. But when I do, I'm headed to Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be in the area. I could take you so far. And she was outstanding out there at the truck stop. And I parked in her next to the restaurant. And I just walked out to her, and I said, where are you headed? She said, I said, oh, well, I pointed to my truck, and I said, well, there I am. I may be going to Washington State because I'm out of Washington State, and I head that way. I don't know where exactly I'm headed, but probably in an hour. In an hour or so, I'll probably be headed that way. So I just walked off, right? And I went in the truck stop and waited for my boss to give me a load going somewhere. And then within, well, probably an hour, a little after that, she got impatient, walked into the truck stop where I was sitting and said, I thought we were going to be leaving in an hour. And I thought, excuse me. Have an iced tea, sit down and relax. This is trucking. We have to wait. And finally, I got a load going to Cairo, Georgia. I had to pick up a load of conduit. And I had a 2-dropper, one in Boise and one in Spokane. And I said, well, I got to get going. And so I packed up her stuff in there, and it had a bunch of blue Samsonite-like luggage.
Okay.
A bunch of it with a luggage tote that she dragged behind her. And I put that in. The moment she sat in the truck, she looked at all the room in the truck and said, hey, can we go back to Miami so I can pick up the rest of my stuff? And I said, no, I've got to get to Cairo before midnight Eastern time to get this load on. So we got to head north. So we headed up, and we got up to Unical 76 truck stop about 80 miles north. And I fueled up there, went in, and I got a shower for her and myself. We didn't shower the same shower. We showered separately. I told her, meet me in the restaurant, and we'll have something to eat before we head north. And so she sits down, and she ordered all-you-can-eat spaghetti, and she was on her second plate. And she wanted this, and she tried to offer me some of her spaghetti. I said, no, get the hell out of here. Go north. And she sat over here. I was driving, so I didn't see much of her. We got up to Cairo. I backed in, got loaded, and I went looking for her. I didn't know where the hell she took off to. So I went into the driver's lounge, and she looked like she was on the phone.
Okay.
Or, like on a page.
I'll just stop it for a second there so we don't get in trouble. It's about 4 minutes in. I'll post a link to this channel, and you guys can watch the rest of it if you want, but we'll play a bit more. I wanted to say hello to some other people in the chat who just jumped in. Emmanuel, Emmy, Emma, I'm just going to say Emma Ellie Mom 1. There we go. I got it. Beth B was here too, and Jennifer Nobles. I thought I saw Dr. Ed and Julie here earlier too. Dr. Ed, good to see you. And Julie, I did get your emails. I've got to sit down and reply to them tonight. with the microphone issue, I have someone turned off there's a setting on StreamYard for blur background noise, and it's always been on ever since I've used this channel or ever since I've used the StreamYard. And for some reason today it was turned off, so that's why you could hear Mrs. Ping feeding the cats. So I've turned it back on, so you shouldn't be able to hear it anymore. So there we go. All right, that was a little break, and then we'll go back to this and play the last couple of minutes. This guy's crazy though. He's such like he flips like from one side to the other, especially when you hear some of his quotes. He's all over the place.
Payphone. And I mentioned Suzanne, or whatever, what her name is. I said something. The moment I mentioned, she let out a blood-curdling scream, like she just caught her right, just panic. And shut up, man. You know, we need to get going, right?
Right.
So she gets in the truck. We take off. Now I backtrack about, I don't know, 20 miles maybe, and drop down into Florida
Okay.
so I can get on Interstate 10.
Yes, sir.
And we're heading west on Interstate 10, and at exit 18 is the rest area. And you pull down off the exit, you go underneath the overpass, and you come to a frontage road. You go past some convenience stores, and the rest here is back in here. And I parked in right behind the security there. Florida always has security trucks with people in there.
Mhm.
So they watch over for panhandling and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
They really monitor it very. I parked right behind the security guy, and I sat up, and once I got stopped, I sat on the edge of the bed, and I wanted to know whether she wanted to use the restroom, because that's what I was going to do. And then she started screaming. She just sat up and started screaming. And I was like,
Just for no
shut up. The
reason?
more I told her to shut up, the more she screamed.
Okay.
And I don't need that because I wasn't supposed to have people in my truck anyway, unauthorized and all that. So I just killed her.
Okay.
You got to consider after murdering too many people, that it was just an easy thing to do. And I was fearful because she ate all that spaghetti and stuff, that she would, you know, when I moved her, that maybe it'd come up. I wasn't quite sure, but I took 2 plastic ties that I had and put around her neck and secured it, figured that when I moved her that nothing would come out. And that's why I did that. And then I had to get out and ask the security guy to move so I could get out of the rest area. Once he moved out of the way, he was driving a red small pickup with a canopy on it.
Okay.
And he moved out of the way. I pulled on out. I went down to exit 11, and it's a university exit, I believe. I think that was on one of the signs.
Okay.
I pulled down and crossed the road and came up on the other side and pulled up as far as the wide shoulder was, parked, and I walked over to, which would be the north side, walked to the north. And there's a tree row there, and then on the other side of the tree row was a fence. And I knew, so I figured I'd put her in the tree row. I carried over and put her in the tree row, and I left. And that's the story.
There you go. You heard it from him, directly from the the mouth of the killer. He just said, "Oh, you know, I killed her, and then I put her near the tree, and I just left. And, you know, she was dead. No big deal. You know, I like killing women." He just the way in which he describes killing someone is like it was nothing. Like it was just, you know, another day for him driving his truck, killing people and driving the truck. That's what it seemed like. Um, Jennifer Noble said, "Did he SA her prior or no?" I don't know. I don't think it says. Let's have a quick look. I would say so. I would. You know, these women don't get in these trucks. They they have a what are they? What would you call it? Like a stereotype. These type of women who jump in these trucks. Unfortunately, a lot of it is sex exchange for, you know, trips or getting you know, further along their journey. It's quite common, unfortunately. So I don't know if it'd be considered SA or the other one, but there was probably some sort of sexual contact there for sure. Carol Clark says, just a task. Yep, just like hitching up the truck and going on across country, it seemed like another day to him. And that's all these years later, he still seems like it's just another day. He still remembers it and knows what he did. It's interesting that he did give her name. It says down here, he told investigators when he was originally arrested that he did kill a woman called Susan or Suzette, and that he just couldn't remember anything else about her. And then they finally linked it all together like 25 years later. So, yeah, in 1996. So, oh yeah, almost 30 years ago that he did say that he met someone of that name. So, it's very interesting idea of Jane Joe. Yeah, so this was the ID press conference where they ID'd her, the one that they were asking him about. We can give that a quick watch. I just want to grab this link. Hold on. So at least we can be fair to this. It's from the Oskaloosa Sheriff's Office. I'll post that in the chat. It was from their YouTube. There's the link for that one. And I guess we can watch the ID one too. Just so we get a full picture from both sides. All right, hold on. Let me set this up.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Got some great, exciting news that we've been able to solve a homicide that's 30 years in the making. But first, before further ado, I want to introduce some special guests. We have Ginger Madden, our state attorney for the First Judicial Circuit. We have Michelle Sandler. She is the assistant. Michelle, come on up. Michelle Sandler from the Assistant State Attorney's Office. She's assistant state attorney. We have Chris Williams, Pensacola special agent in charge out of that field office. Mark Zager, special agent, Florida Department of Law Enforcement as well. Dr. Deanna Oleski, chief medical examiner for District 1 medical examiner, who was critical in solving this case. Absolutely instrumental, her office was. Dan Shebler, which is director of operation, District 1 medical examiner's office. And Chrissy Neaton, chief investigator, District 1 medical examiner's office. Dave Nutting, which is law enforcement liaison for Othram. And then our own case investigators, investigator Kelly Henderson, and investigator Aaron Pittman. I think I did I leave anybody out? Oh no, I got you, Zager. And yeah, thank you. All right, so the last unidentified victim of the notorious Happy Face Killer has now been identified. She is no longer a Jane Doe. Keith Jesperson is now charged with murder and of the Jane Doe that we had previously known as Jane Doe since September of '94. He's been in prison in Oregon. He's already serving 7 life sentences for 7 other homicides between 1990 and 1995. He was caught in '95 and admitted to killing 7 others, in addition to the one he was originally charged with, for a total of 8. He committed these while being a long-haul trucker and killed these women in 6 different states, to include California, Nebraska, Wyoming, Oregon, Washington, and Florida. The relentless efforts of the OCSO, FDLE, Florida Medical Examiner's Office, and the State Attorney's Office, as well as the private lamb Othram, it was instrumental in us solving this case. Otherwise, it would likely still be unsolved. The victim is now known that she was 34 years old, and her family is in Wisconsin. Her identity is known as Suzanne Schellenberg. It's spelled KJ, but it is pronounced SH, Schellenberg. Her family obviously wants privacy at this time. With the new events that have unfolded and details, they're obviously dealing with that, so please protect their privacy. In February 1996, Jesperson actually admitted to killing our victim. Unfortunately, we didn't know the identity of our victim, and it admitted to killing someone in this area and dumping her body. We had him as a suspect early on, just didn't have an identity for our victim. The identity was not learned until March of 2023, this year, and that was after the District 1 Medical Examiner's Office sent to Othram Inc., which out of Woodlands, Texas, and they are specialized in genealogy DNA analysis. That development sent so while at Othram during the analysis, it was determined that they were able to narrow down a family member. A family member gave a sample and it became 100% DNA hit for Suzanne Schellenberg. The development sent our investigators, Kelly Henderson, Aaron Pittman, and FDLE's investigator, Mark Zager, as well as Michelle Sandler from the First Judicial Circuit, our First Judicial State Attorney's Office, to interview Jesperson. This interview was unannounced. He did not know they were coming, but he fully cooperated. And exactly 29 years to the day after her body was found, they went to Oregon to interview him. He talked openly about the murder and how it took place. He picked her up at a truck stop in Tampa and brought her up to the Panhandle. We don't know exactly where this happened, but he describes it as a rest area. He describes brutally on how he killed her. He alleges that she was sleeping in his bed, I'm assuming of his rig, and he was allegedly parked next to a security guard. And when he went to sit next to her, she began to scream. He said she would not stop screaming. He was nervous because he was concerned because he was not allowed to have authorized riders. And so he used zip ties, electrical zip ties, to cut off her airway, and then further used his fist forcibly to cut off her airway to the point where she was deceased. She was the sixth victim out of the 8 victims. We believe she's the 6th one he killed. And he talked about the murder openly, and he dumped her body a short time later in Holt on the side of the I-10, and was discovered September the 14th of 94 by a inmate work crew that was working along doing landscaping, and the body was found in a tree line. He's known as the happy face killer because he sent the media details of his homicides and would always end it with a smiley face. He kind of got caught himself because the first murder he committed in Oregon, some random lady just said she killed the female along with her abusive boyfriend, which was not true. And he got upset by this, so he started sending media letters describing it, and he got no attention with that, or not enough. So he sent it to authorities, to which ultimately landed his prosecution for that case. Unfortunately, not before several other women had been killed. His first victim was in Oregon. Suzanne deserves a voice, and we're that voice for her today, and this case has been years in the making. There's others here that I've already introduced that we're going to recognize, and they're going to be able to tell you about their roles of their entities and agencies and how they were involved. But I want to say that investigator Glenn Barbary, who's retired, and FDLE agent Dennis Haley, that are retired, they were initial case agents, and they were instrumental in us at least obtaining a suspect early on. It's unfortunate that it took this long to bring this case to justice. But before I conclude and bring them up here, and we'll do question and answers after these individuals get a chance to talk, I want to reiterate how proud I am from these investigative team that we have, not just from the sheriff's office, but all these men and women standing up here before you. We've had over a dozen cold cases. We've really had a good reputation here at the sheriff's office for solving cold cases. We've solved over a dozen that I know of in the last 10 years, 7 since my administration began, some of which were 40 years old. We did a press conference about this earlier this year. And this particular one is 29 years. It's, again, the 7th one, and we've had national recognition on shows like Dateline and 48 Hours and Cold Justice. And it's solely because of a testament of the dedication and relentless tenacity of the investigative teamwork, coupled with advances in forensic evidence, that allows us to bring justice to Suzanne and her family nearly 30 years after her death.
Just briefly.
Sure.
I don't have any prepared statement today, but I would like to just very briefly state how proud I am that the state attorney's office could be a part of this partnership with FDLE, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, Medical Examiner's Office, in bringing this to a successful conclusion. I want to especially recognize Special Prosecutor Michelle Sandler from the State Attorney's Office, who has demonstrated her dedication and commitment to solving these cold cases. She's been a very large part of not only this case, but other cold cases that the Sheriff's Office has been able to bring closure to in the past several years. while I am the state attorney and often the one who's called to the podium to speak, it is the very hardworking assistant state attorneys who work for me that are instrumental in seeing that these things are done. I want to restate my commitment and the commitment of the state attorney's office to bringing these cases to a conclusion, whether they're 4 hours old or 40 years old. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dr. Deanna Oleski. I'm the Chief Medical Examiner for District 1. I just briefly want to touch on why this took 29 years to put a name to her face. So in September 14th or 15th of 1994, we received the skeletonized remains of a female found near I-10. And during the initial investigation, we sent the remains to the Pound Lab at the University of Florida in Gainesville for analysis. And the osteological examination determined that this was a white female and she was aged approximately 35 to 55 years old. We sent some samples for additional examination for estimation of time since death, and a clay reconstruction, which you can see played on the screens here, of her face did not unfortunately generate any leads. Later, the serial killer Keith Jesperson admitted to killing.
I just have to jump in, otherwise we'll get in a little bit of trouble. I'm pretty sure this is again from the Oskaloosa Sheriff's Office, so I will post a link to them so you can watch it on their channel too. Someone said we just ticked over 400 subs. That's amazing. I never even thought we'd get that high. So thank you to whoever subbed and made the 400. That's really cool. Make yourself known in the chat. That'd be cool. I'd like to know who was the 400th sub. And I hope we get there. I hope we get to the 1,000 and then 5,000, 10,000, all those kind of milestones. That'd be really cool. We're about halfway to our goal to being able to do all the monetization and all that type of stuff with YouTube. We're about 50% of the way there. So in about a month or two, we'll be able to finally turn that on, and we'll be able to do like super chats and merch things and advertising, hopefully. So far YouTube has told me that my channel complies with all advertising rules. So hopefully, unlike Trisha's channel, we will be able to do some advertising. That would be awesome if we could do that. It would mean less reliant on our viewers to send in donations, which would be cool. But I do appreciate the people who send in donations anyway. That'd be great. But yeah, it's great news. Thank you to the 400th person and the 399 before them. I wouldn't be here doing these shows without you. So, all right, let me get you back and watch the last half of this, and then we'll go on to the next story. I've got something for you. If I can get out of here.
Killing this woman and disposing her remains in the area, stating that she had called herself Suzanne. In 2007, a forensic artist completed a new facial reconstruction in hopes of identifying the victim. In 2008, we sent additional anthropological analysis to University of West Florida, and specimens were also sent to the FBI laboratory for DNA analysis and entry into the National Missing Persons DNA database. Mitochondrial DNA was analyzed and entered into CODIS, and in 2018, the specimens were even sent for isotope analysis at the University of Florida. In late of 2022, I attended the National Association of Medical Examiners conference, where they were beginning to discuss utilizing a different approach to identifying the unknown, and that was through genetic genealogy. And the company Orthram was mentioned because they were starting to do a pilot project of which it would cost nothing to be able to identify some of our more pertinent cases, especially those who are homicides. And immediately I asked my associate medical examiner, Dr. Lorraine Lopez, hey, can we do this? And she said, I'm on it. And sure enough, she did. She figured it out. She contacted Orthram, and within 6 weeks that we sent them the remains, they had a hit. It was unbelievable. It was truly miraculous. I thought from the beginning that we would be able to identify her, and I had no idea we'd do it in 6 weeks. So thank you from Dave of Orthram and the Orthram team. I want to thank Dr. Lorraine Lopez, who initiated this, and Chrissy Neaton. So thank you.
Good morning, Chris Williams of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Just real brief, I just want to focus on one word, and that's tenacity. You could hear that in the doctor's voice. You can hear that in the sheriff's voice. But there's been tenacity in this case for the last 30 years. I can remember this case. I was talking to some fellow investigators. I remember this case growing up. I grew up in Okaloosa County, so particularly proud of the investigators, the deputies, the special agents who have worked this case. They never quit. I can tell you there's other unsolved homicides, and they're not going to quit on those either. Advances in technology are critical to solving these cases. And to Doc's point, in 6 weeks, essentially they solved a case that we've been working on for the last 30 years, and that is incredible. And we really got to continue, double down on that. I'm really proud of the sheriff investing in this. It's clearly important, not just to the family, obviously to the family, but it's important to the community. To healing, to figuring out what happened. This is important, and I'm really proud to see law enforcement teaming to do this. I'm proud of the team that put this together. So they should be commended. Thank you.
All right. Actually, I'm going to leave that there. I didn't realize. I thought it was like a 5-minute presser. It's like a 28-minute presser or something like that, 21 minutes. I'm not going to make you sit here for 21 minutes. Oh, hey, let me get your name right. Is it Shiri? I hope I'm saying it right. I can't see my own screen. Hold on. Shirl Huffman. Hey, Shirl. She says, maybe me. I just subscribed. Love you, Ping. Love you. Thank you very much. You are our 400th subscriber. That is really, really awesome. Glad to have you here, even though it's a late show tonight. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to give you the link. If you would like to watch the rest of it, then you can do so. It's just a really long press conference, and we don't normally do that. So I'm going to post that link in the chat for you. If I can get back to you. Where are you guys? Oh, you're over here. There we go. And there's the link for that. And I wanted to, I didn't realize this. Someone actually just sent this to me. We were talking about that girl on the Israeli bombings yesterday, and how they were parading around a young woman in the back of a car who had been killed. Apparently, this is her. This is a photo of her. That if you've seen that video on Twitter, I didn't know this. Someone sent me this article in via email. That's really horrible. And there's sort of like the blurred out version of what was all over Twitter yesterday. That's horrible. That really is. They tried to say that she was a Israeli soldier, but she was apparently at a rave, some sort of dance music festival or something, where they were overcome with militants, and they were killed. So yeah, at least she has a name. I think that's a good thing. At least we have her identity. We can say who she is. Her name is Shani, and her cousin Thomasina told Mail Online that her family recognized her distinctive leg tattoos and dreadlocked hair. Yeah, that was one of the big things I think everyone noticed, was she had these quite long dreadlocks. Unfortunately, it looked like she had some sort of head injury in the footage that I saw. So I hope they're able to find her body and bring her back home. Such a young lady. Her name is Shani Look, 30. She was at a music festival for peace when it was seized by terrorists as they attacked Israel in a surprise assault, which left 480 people dead and 3,200 people injured. And then, yeah, everyone's seen, I think most people have seen that awful, gruesome video, which I'm not going to play. Hey, Diamond Heart. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Nice that you could be here. I hope everyone's doing well on your side of the world. Yeah, so I don't want to go too much into that, but it is nice that we have a name for her. I don't want to call her that dead woman in the back of the truck. At least we can give her a proper name. I think that's the most respectful thing, is to call her by her name, which her name is Shani. So I don't know where this goes from here, but I did see a video of her mum asking for information online. She was asking where they took her body, or where did they dump her body after parading it on that truck. So they want to bring her home and get her buried. So really horrible. I think that anytime you have two sides that are like this and they're killing what are innocent people, war is war. And if you go into war with a set of rules that are established on both sides, conflict of war, then that's one thing. Soldiers die in that. It's still very sad, and they did that to defend their country. But when innocent people like this die, it's something completely different. And on both sides, I'm not taking sides. I've seen innocent people killed on the other side. I've seen innocent people killed on this side. It's horrible. These people deserve to be just at their home away from this. So I can't believe she was at a music festival for peace and she was killed in an attack. Horrible. So apparently she was a German tattoo artist. I wonder what she was doing in Israel then. She was brought there for the festival or something. I don't know. Yeah, not great. All right, let's go. I've got another story for you all out of Australia. Give me 2 seconds and I'll get it. Let me grab it. I have to go through this other way. Here. It says here, psycho killer Nick Boak, who killed a stranger in a Cairns shopping center, was an accountant who claimed to be a decorated SAS veteran. So he was a stolen valor by the sounds of it too. Holiday resort auditor posed as an SAS hero who won a VC, Victoria Cross. He slit the throat of a random stranger in a shopping mall. It says here, psychotic killer accountant who slit the throat of a random stranger in a shopping mall led a deluded fantasy life where he claimed to be a decorated soldier. Twisted Nick Boak, 40, claimed to be an SAS veteran who had won the Victorian Cross for bravery before he launched a savage attack on Michael Eaton, 51. Mr. Eaton was a lonely father of 5 who had recently split from his wife and was an early morning regular at Cairns Shopping Centre in far north Queensland. So it's up north in Queensland. So if you know Australia, it's really far up. Like you go to Queensland and you know where Brisbane is, you keep going north, it's up sort of near that tip of Australia, just a little south of there. It says here the friendly former dog breeder and car fanatic was unable to work for health reasons, but enjoyed the company of chatting with shop staff before they opened. But on 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning in September 2021, he was targeted by Boak on the ground floor of the mall where Boak was in the midst of a psychotic episode. The accountant, who had most recently been working at a holiday resort on Fitzroy Island and Arley Beach, began ranting erratically at Mr. Eden, said locals. Mr. Eden shrugged off the outburst, but Boak suddenly pulled out a knife and crept up behind Mr. Eden before slashing his throat without any warning or provocation. That's brutal. So this is him. This is the killer here. You can see he's sort of wearing some sort of like uniform that has medals. You can see he probably thought of himself as someone very highly, kind of like that fantasy life of being a decorated army dude or naval dude. That's Mr. Eden there, the guy who had his throat cut in this conflict. Very awful. Looks like a typical, hard-working Aussie guy at some point in his life. There's the, looks like there was the scene of the, just after they had it all cordoned off in the shopping center. I don't think anyone expects that when they go for, early morning shop to get attacked and have their throat slit. It says here, he left Mr. Eden bleeding on the ground where he died 20 minutes later, drenched in a pool of his own blood, despite the efforts of bystanders and emergency services. Brisbane-born Boak was arrested nearby after, and the details of his bizarre past began to be revealed. Apparently, he was already under investigation by ex-military veterans, bizarrely claiming to be an SAS hero who saw action in Korea, and that he'd won the Victoria Cross. This is a big deal. When guys do this, or anyone, women do this too, but a lot of men do this. This is what they call stolen valor, and there's guys ex-veterans who spend a lot of their retirement tracking down losers like this who steal valor. And they have websites. I've seen a few of them. So, there used to be a YouTube channel that did like, cases on it. I watched a bunch of it back in the day, and it's a big deal. You shouldn't do this. It's awful. These real people who saw real action and made it home deserve everything. They deserve all the accolades, and not accolades, but like, thank yous and pats on the back, and anything that comes their way. But people who steal that kind of valor, they're awful people. They really are. I hate those type of people myself. So it says here, in an application to join a Queensland Returned Servicemen's Club, which is an RSL, he said he was given he was a serving major who had tours of duty in Malaysia, Iraq, the Gulf War, and Afghanistan. If this was true, he would have been like one of the most decorated soldiers in all of Australia, probably. To see that many different tours on different continents, he probably would have been very well known. There's only a couple in Australia that are really well known. One of them just got done for murder, got done for war crimes. He's accused of killing a Afghani and I think kicking him over the edge of a cliff. Unfortunately, he was one of our highest ranked soldiers. It's very unfortunate because before that he was very decorated. He claims to have enlisted in 2003 and even posed as a Secret Service spy, adopting the 007 style nickname Nick Bond Industries for one of his companies he set up. Okay. But the reality was very different. Boak was instead an otherwise mild-mannered accountant and fitness freak who studied at Ballarat-based Federation University in regional Victoria. He joined the Australian Army Reserves while a student, but graduated as an accountant who worked as a personal trainer. He also attended Duntroon Military College in Canberra with the reserves, but there's no record of him seeing action despite posing on social media with medals. They love those medals, don't they? The people who steal valor. They love those fake medals from eBay. A month before he launched his savage attack on Mr. Eden, he had just started his new firm, Advanced Accounting Australia, while employed as an auditor on Fitzroy Island. Boak's lies were exposed by an online group of former soldiers who hunt down fake soldiers online to shame them for their lies on Facebook. Here we go. It says Boak's application claimed to have served in various, theaters of war as a major in the SAS. Also claimed to have won the Victoria Cross for bravery. Here you go. You can see, we can't do that. There we go. It's not very good. It's very blurry. But you can kind of see his different claims of his war kind of service. You see VC, that's post nominal. So I think it's post combat kind of nominations. And he said he was in the SAS. There you go. He said he moved back from Queensland from Victoria in 2018 and relocated from Arley Beach to work on Fitzroy Island during the COVID lockdowns, but struggled to make friends. In social media posts just 9 days before he was killed, Mr. Eden, Boak reached out to make new mates in the Cairns area. I've now been a resident of Fitzroy Island for 3 months, and I'm putting down roots, he posted. If you're a local and planning a visit and a hike here and are a good human, please feel free to DM me. So if I knew more about him and knew he was a dude who liked to steal valor and he was a bit violent, I don't know how many people would take him up on that offer. In another post 6 days before his bloody attack, he posed with a dumbbell while looking intensely at the camera and said he was working on his beach body. A pre-workout shift is just the best, he posted on Instagram. I'm so very thankful for this amazing gym on our tropical island paradise. Beach Ready Goal is on track for the summer. VIP visitors access one-on-one training hopefully soon. So this guy had a real weird background. There he is. There's another photo of him. Looks pretty fit. He's got the muscles and the legs, and always have those trainers. The Detective Inspector Kevin Gowan said his sympathies were with Boak's victim, Mr. Eden, and his family. His untimely death is mourned by many. He was considered to be quite a pleasant and laid-back man. His engagement with others were quite happy, not something that would warrant the type of action towards him. The family appealed for privacy in the wake of the tragedy. He added, he also has an aged mother who was doing it tough at the time because of this loss. I hope they nail him for everything. The stolen valor, there's that dumbbell post. It just looks like he's hitting himself in the head with the dumbbell. Look, I can hit myself in head with dumbbell. It doesn't look like he's working out. It's just like head burst dumbbell. That's what I get from it. I don't get I'm working out here. I get is my head harder than the dumbbell? Man versus steel. That's what I get from it. Yeah, so this guy, I hope they nail him for everything. Nail him for the murder of that guy. Get him for the bloody stolen valor, all of it. All right, let me check what you guys are up to. Dr. Ed. Hey, Dr. Ed and Julie. It's sad for others to take honors away. I agree. I don't approve of anything like that. It's awful. Dr. Ed says, and I like to listen to what Dr. Ed has to say, says, I believe that people who do this don't have any self-esteem. He did seem like somebody who was lacking in confidence or something like that, or looking for somewhere to belong, because he was reaching out to find locals and asking for, even the military thing. Sometimes that's just looking for family or a place to belong. Like he's applying to the ex-servicemen's league. That is sort of like looking for, a group to belong to. I mean, I don't approve of it. I'm just saying that's sort of what it seems like. Yeah. Wu says attention seeker. Could be that too. Could be. Give me 1 second. 1 second. I just needed a drink. All that talking. What time is it? I think we're about to wrap up for the night. But I will be back tomorrow night for Sunday Nights with Ping on WebSleuth's YouTube channel, not on here. And then the next time you guys will see me on here will be Monday US time, around this time, around the same time. We'll be back on here. Let me just check something. I heard a ding in my ear while I was reading. I just want to check the donation thing. I heard a ding, and that's what the sound is. Oh, it's from my friend. Oh, it's from my really good friend, Miss Beth B. She says, interesting subjects, good show, love ya, Beth B. Beth B, you are too kind. You guys, you support this channel so much, and the other one. I telling you, one day when we all retire, we are going to build a wing, and it's going to be the Beth B wing, and it's going to have your name on it, because the support you've shown this channel and the other one is just monumentous. It really is. There's only a few donators who donate regularly that also deserve little what do they call it, like a ward, on the hospital when they get those big donations. They're like, we're going to build a ward in that person's honor. There's like Beth B. There's a few others that also deserve that recognition for helping out so much. So I very much appreciate it, and yeah, it means a lot. It really does. It's been hard the last couple of months. I don't know what I did wrong, but I upset a lot of people, I think, because the show was doing fine, and then all of a sudden it just went zoosh, and it went from about 100% to about 25% in about 3 weeks, and it hasn't regained anything. So I do appreciate that. It helps out a lot. So maybe I did a subject or a story that upset people. That could be true. But I won't change. I'll continue to bring interesting stories that I find interesting that maybe other people are not talking about. Because if we all talk about the same subjects every night, it's going to get boring. You're going to have 25 channels all following the one case. And I mean, that can be sort of interesting for a little bit, but you can't do that forever. It's just going to be boring. So we're going to keep bringing you different stories from around the world. And yeah, hopefully for 4 nights a week is what I'm aiming for now. So we're hoping to do 4 nights every week or nights with Ping, and then 1 night on Sunday nights with Ping on Web Sleuths. So that's 5 nights a week. That's 5 nights a week of Ping. That should be enough for everyone. And then I get 2 days off. So that's it for tonight. I appreciate everyone. I'm sorry it was so late. And whose son is in service? Oh, Diamond Heart. My son is in boot camp for all the right reasons, man. Congratulations. I hope he does really well, Diamond Heart. I really do. And I hope he stays safe. I really hope he comes home and has a great career as a military guy. It's really, really good. There's so many great people I've met through the military. A couple of my friends are in the military. I have a friend that is a submarine repair guy, and he literally repairs submarines. He has to dive and go under the submarines, and he works in Hawaii. And he's a great guy, someone I really like. So yeah, one day if I ever can get him to come on, I'll get him to come on and talk to you guys about what he does. He literally has to put on a diving tank and then go under the submarine and clean stuff and repair holes and cracks and things. It's a pretty brutal job. So I thank you guys. I appreciate it. Tomorrow will be a longer show, 1.5 to 2 hour show tomorrow night. We try and keep it to about an hour on here, just to make it, because it's so late. We don't want people being up until 2 a.m. in the morning or anything like that. Gambler says, I was just reading about a Texas death row inmate who was fighting his execution because the drugs they were going to use had been damaged in a fire. He lost, executed October 10th, Jedediah Murphy. There was another guy in Texas who had been fighting his execution for it must have been 15 years or something. And he kept going through all these different appeals because they said he killed his wife. And it ended up being that he died from natural causes before they could execute him. That's how long his appeal process played out. He actually died. I'm not laughing. I'm just saying it's so contrived. But he actually died before his next appeal. They were actually set to execute him in October or something, and he died in late September or something like that. I'll have to find the details for tomorrow night, but yeah, this is quite common in Texas apparently. I'll have to look that up, the gambler, Jedediah Murphy. There's got to be a better way of doing it where those drugs are used properly, or there's a better combination where they don't experience so much uncertainty and pain. Although some people will say they deserve everything they can get, so one or the other. Depends which side of it you're on. Yes. That's it from me tonight. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the Israeli thing overnight, and if we get anything else, I'll talk about it tomorrow. But that's it. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Get a good night's sleep. Come back tomorrow night on Web Sleuths, and I'll be there for Sunday nights with Ping. See you later, everyone. Peace out. Bye-bye.